We're here. We're back. We're live. We're coming at you. John and Agnew show number. I don't know what. Agnew,
Three.
you
I think
proposed to
it's
me
three.
episode 3, something like that. You
Something like that.
proposed.
I don't know if we count the other episodes. I don't
I
know.
was.
We reboot. We just keep rebooting.
We're
Soft
like the
reboots.
Catholic Church. We're like, all right, here we're gonna start here. The
Yep.
rest we can't. We just can't tally it all. What did you ask me about after the last show? Oh, your own television network.
Yes. So if you were able to design, like, let's say you were the programmer for a TV station. For all the 30-year-olds out there, TV stations were things that you used to have to tune into to watch television. You didn't have streaming services and everything at your fingertips. And when we grew up, you had to go into a thing called TV Guide, and sometimes that was in a newspaper. I don't have time to explain newspapers to you.
Gosh, we should dedicate a whole episode to what it was like.
but you know, so what I thought is if you could take any episode from anything that's been created or maybe that's coming out and put it into a channel that you would create for yourself. How would you line that up? And how would you put like the blocks and what would be your epic night?
So here's like a good example. Back in the day, at a time, we were really young, but there was a time where there were like 4 channels for the most part. It was ABC, NBC, and then CBS, and then Fox came in later. So on Fox, in the morning, it would be the morning show. Then mid-morning, a cooking show. Then at noon, a talk show, and then soap operas, then Oprah, then the news, then primetime television, and then late night television. That would be a channel's day.
Right.
Example, right?
With a bunch of paid programming like after 11 and stuff, right?
Depending on what year and depending on the channel.
Right.
Okay, so so I was looking at it like if I were to own like John Plus and it was just my own streaming service, what would I have on there? I was like, well, this is going to take the rest of our life. So it's just one channel, 24-hour span. What's running on there?
Right.
In the morning, what do you like to listen to in the morning?
In the morning,
or watch,
I feel like I wake up and I'm just at work.
You work from home, right?
Let's say it's a sick day.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you can go wrong with some Price is Right. I mean, there's nothing that says I'm not getting out of bed today, yet I still need to tell people that they're stupid as much as Price is Right. I mean, it's by far one of the best just scenarios in general, right? Because none of it.
They really struck lightning in a bottle with that show. It's many levels.
It's just such a perfect format because you get to go through it 3 times or whatever, right? I think you go through it 3 times.
Most episodes seem longer than they should be.
Yeah, and then you have the showdown, right? So you have somebody who like wins it all, and then it gets down to the showdown, and then
it just depends on the timing. Sometimes they have 5 people up there.
Yeah. Oh, right, because they have to. Oh, that's how they eliminate it with the wheel, right?
Yeah.
So they actually do the wheel, and then that eliminates everybody down to 1, and then they go over and do it again, and then those 2 people meet up at the end.
Oh, right. And then
but just the format of it is so perfect, just because you're always getting introduced to a game that either you like or you've never seen before. There's like favorite games that everybody wants, but oh my gosh, yeah. No.
I love how the stuff that they guess is like average American everyday crap that like you have to buy like usually once a week. It's like children's cough medicine.
Yeah.
And dish soap.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But it's in like it's like 32 count. You're like,
right.
Who on earth buys the 32 count from CVS,
Apparently
when I'm buying Cascade,
weirdo.
I'm buying it by the gallon, and I don't want to ever have to buy it again for 7 months,
Right.
Yeah, but they always offer it, and it's like, in this 32 pack of gum, you're like, gum? Yeah, so those are
there's something about The Price is Right that almost Could be, I think because of what time it comes on. Like I think it comes on at like 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
and it's like if you're still like in bed, blankly staring at the TV, and that show comes on, it's almost like the universe has like agreed, I'm not leaving. I'm here. And because this show is on and I'm witnessing it, I'm justified.
Yeah. You know that you're going to be productive for that half hour.
It was,
Like you're going to be very productive. You're going to be
you're going to be
your
involved in
brain's going to be
something.
working, you know? Like that's the thing. That's why I used to love to exercise to it, you know? If you could go to the gym and somehow it was on,
Uh-huh.
that was just phenomenal because there's nothing better to turn your brain off than Price is Right. There's other ones like it, you know, even when we were just
Of course.
in Nashville, we watched a little bit of Family Feud, but that you have to go back to like old Family Feud, back when it was actually asking people questions and actually had questions, and everything wasn't just leading you to saying something like sexual or something like the show now is just like, oh, what's something your husband has in his pants and you look at, you know, like it's like what you like the
You know what it
questions
is,
are just-
Agnew? The Family Feud has turned into what Jerry Springer, the same thing that
Yes.
happened to Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer at first was like, let's settle our problems. And then I think, one episode, somebody threw a punch and it became that.
Yeah, somebody came in the room and was like, your Nelson readings are off the charts. Somebody threw a punch this episode. Let's get 2 punches in next episode. You know, and then that was over. It was like
It's like,
it was
let's
early
market,
90s.
let's market to the inbreds. They'll come on the show and show their naked ass and get in
Yeah.
a fight and, air their dirty laundry. Gosh,
And
that
then
show.
and then they probably ran out of bad people in the world. And then they just started hiring actors. So then like junior actors were just coming in and being like, I live down south and I need, it's like, okay.
It's
That
like
doesn't even sound right.
these prank channels on YouTube that I have to break the fourth wall for Hannah right away and be like, this is staged, honey.
Yeah.
Okay. What you're watching is not a real prank. They all talked about it beforehand. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
These fake staged pranks.
Well, I mean, it's nothing new, though. I mean, any reality show you've ever watched is a
Yeah.
prank show. It's pranking you.
And
None of it's real.
staged, right? Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think there's maybe a few where you're getting more of a real vibe coming from it. I remember when I was in college, there was some ABC Family reality show that they were shooting, and it was about parents going back to school at the same time as their kids
Keep killing.
are going for the first time. So the kids would go, and then the parents would also be getting their degree at the same time and kind of tagging along. So you'd have like a mother-daughter, joining a sorority at the same time, but then the mom is like talking to, interrupting college life for the girl, and you're like, oh, are we going to go to that party together? It's like, no, mom. Anyway, so they had this, the girl, I guess the mom too, was apparently in our class. They were apparently in one of the classes we were taking, and they were
What
never
class?
there. It was, I don't remember. It was like ethics or something. It was probably something ironic like that. So they weren't in the class the whole time, and then around like the third or fourth week they showed up, and there was a full camera crew. These guys are just walking around, and they set up in the front of the class, and they're like, all right, like teacher, just start lecturing, and then she'll just ask you some questions. And he's like, we normally don't ask questions during the lecture. I normally just give the lecture, and then
not
we
a
have
Q&A.
questions later. And they're like, no. So he starts talking, and she's just interrupting him like left and right. She's never been to a class, right? So it's really weird. And she's just coming up with the dumbest questions that are just about her. And, I read this book back in high school that was all, just dumb. Like we were, if it was actually happening in a class, people would have thrown stuff at her because it was just so obnoxious. Yeah. And then after that question and answer thing happened, then they handed out blank pieces of paper to us, and they told us that we were all supposed to be pretending to take the final exam for the class. And so then we just had to like sit there and just kind of scribble on a blank piece of paper
right,
while
like
they
just
filmed that. And she went out and like changed her clothes to something else, came back in, even though we were all in ours. I'm not changing my clothes. So I guess we look like scum because we're wearing the same clothes to every class. I mean, it was college. I probably did.
right.
same
Yeah, it was
clothes
like
to
it's college students. They all blend together
I
like
wear
a
the
mosaic.
same sweatpants. Yeah. So, we just sat there filling it out for 10 seconds. They got their footage. It was maybe 15 minutes into class by the time they were all done. And then then everybody just filed out and we never saw them again. So it's like,
That's kind of becoming
that's real.
that's becoming my issue lately more and more. It was always something that was there, but I feel like it's really getting in my way lately is just because it's look, I've said this a million times. I've never made a motion picture, but I know pretty much what they're doing with objects to get the thing on this, like I know how it's made. And I'm always kind of like distracted by that when I'm watching movies now. And I don't know if that's because they suck
Yeah.
or because I'm just older and there's only so many heroes' journeys that I can pretend to be surprised by.
No, trust me, you can if it's a good movie. So
Mhm.
I watched this older movie called it was like from the 70s. It was called Once Upon a Time in the West. I watched
Yep.
it while Kelly was
Classic.
away because I didn't think she really wanted to watch a Western. So I kept it as like one of my, I'm going to watch this when you're
You
not
saved it.
around. It was a really long movie too. I think it was like 3 hours.
Mhm.
So I broke it into 2 nights and it was phenomenal. It was like everybody in it was somehow a badass. Even like the small characters were badasses, and they all did things that made you wonder just like a little bit more about them. And
Mm.
half the movie, I would say, half the movie was just close up shots of eyes, just close up shots of like people staring at each other or being worried about something. Like at one point, the guy's like the main, I guess, hero. His gun is sitting near him, and
The
another
protag.
like a bad guy is coming near him. And as the bad guy's coming near him, he reaches over, and it looks like he's reaching for the gun. So all the bad guys like pull their guns out, and he just reaches over and grabs like a shaving thing and just continues shaving, even though he's surrounded by guys with guns. And it was just it was just
Mm.
awesome. It was just a phenomenal movie, and so quickly with introducing a character, you knew how awesome they were.
That's hard to do. That's
And
very rare.
there was no narration. There was nobody being like, "I heard about this guy. This guy's tough." It was just put him in situation after situation, and honestly, have them say almost nothing. I mean, there was almost no dialogue in the movie,
Mm.
and it was actually a pretty complicated and great plot by the end of it. And you can tell other movies took things from it. Like Wild Wild West definitely took things from it. Watching this movie, I was like, "Oh my gosh, they took half of some of the concepts of Wild Wild West." So
The Will Smith picture?
yeah, that film. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a summer
That
blockbuster, so I'm not going to
that
knock
that
it.
vehicle?
Yeah, he finally got his spider, but
The mechanical spider.
yeah, but
Robot
it
spider
was
that I
really good.
heard
Yeah.
I heard makes an appearance in the Flash movie, that spider. And I'm
Oh,
not
really?
joking. Yeah. I'm telling you, they are throwing everything into this movie.
That wasn't even in the DC universe. Though. What's
Right. Even ideas are going into this movie
well, the
because
only
it
thing
doesn't matter.
that idea crossed over was when Kevin Smith explained that it was an early concept for the Superman
Schumacher.
Returns movie, right?
Right. It wasn't Joel Schumacher. It
The
was
Tim Burton one, right?
some other weirdo. Oh, Tim Burton. Right.
It
That's
was
who.
Tim Burton's Superman that was supposed to, or maybe no, I forget.
Tim Burton was going to direct it. Kevin Smith was going to write it. Nicolas Cage was going to play Superman.
Right, and then Tim Burton canceled,
Right.
and then it started just falling apart. But one of the guys that took over after him, wanted a giant spider
Yeah.
at
The
the end.
weirdo. This is
And
such a weird guy.
and what, the other thing he wanted, oh, he had he's
No
like
cape.
I want to have robots protecting Superman, and he's like, well, why does Superman need bodyguards. That doesn't. He's Superman. Like that. He's like the guy that does not need bodyguards. He's Superman. Like there's. So they were making like all these like bodyguard robots and stuff like that. And then he's like, and then at the end, I want him to fight this giant spider. And he's like, Superman's gonna fight a giant spider. And he's like, well, maybe he could be like Brainiac, and Brainiac could like come out with like his head, and like he's kind of like in a spider. And he's like, no, giant 50-foot tall spider.
Did you watch that documentary, The Death of Superman Lives?
Yeah,
What
right,
happened?
yeah, I think it was
John
from that.
Schnepp. You hear the story behind that documentary?
Mm-mm.
That guy, John Schnepp, who made it, it was like one of the first things to get like pirated, during the internet days, beginning days of the internet. I think
The long
it was like
one.
one of the first victims of pirating,
Hmm.
and he made no money. And it's such a great story. Like I think I've watched it more than once.
Yeah,
Like
see,
it's
that
fascinating.
yeah. Well, I think that's just wrong time, wrong place type thing. You know, I think if it was now, he would have like a Patreon and
Yeah.
all these other avenues to collect the money for doing good, so that at least at the end of the movie, you could say, "Look, I know you're going to steal this movie, but if you liked it, send me $10." Because people are weird like that, right?
Yep.
If you make something that they like, they'll send money,
Yep.
right? They want more of it.
Yeah.
They just don't want to give it to buying it, because the format changes every 5 years, and then you have to buy it again. And it's annoying. It's really annoying. I mean, I think it was the failure of VHS. I think VHS locked it in, and then when they came out with DVD, everyone was like, "What? I thought I had this already. I've been collecting. I have a room I've had to dedicate to these giant 8-inch by 4-inch behemoths.
I
2
remember-
for Titanic."
I remember when
Glory.
the DVD craze started, I was like, well, then what's next? So I was like, this is over before it's even starting. I was like, the next thing is right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was, and then it was also worse. I
Scary,
mean,
though.
VHS was actually better. Like
I
it would
know.
have been better to go with high definition VHS than to stay with.
Wasn't Beta better than VHS?
I never saw Beta, so I don't know. I never really got into that whole thing.
I
It might have been a
heard-
better technology, but it didn't get adopted.
There's this great podcast. It's like 7 hours long. It's Louis C.K. and Shane Gillis, and they just go through every single president and just talk about what they know about them. It's
Every
really fun.
president?
Every president from Washington to Trump, and or maybe yeah, it was before Biden. It was before Biden. Yeah. And, no, Biden was in there, but I don't think they talked about him. But anyway, he tells a story about hold on. Son of a bitch. Sorry. There's like some weird spring in my desk. Fuck, what were we talking about? First curse.
You're talking about Louis C.K.'s 7-hour
Louis
podcast
C.K.
about presidents.
They were talking about presidents. Oh man, trying to pull from a 7-hour.
Well, we were talking about the documentary, the Superman, the Death of Superman documentary that didn't get any money for, and he would have gotten money if he was in this time. And then we were talking about VHS tapes and DVDs. And
Yes,
back to-
thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Tangent
R2D2. Oh no, I lost it.
Anyone can just take a reservation.
He says,
Yeah.
he goes, he was talking about some, when two guys were campaigning against each other.
Okay.
And he's like, he was talking about how it's like capitalism. He's like, you either make the best thing and everybody buys that, or you make the second best thing and you kneecap the best guy. He's like Beta and VHS. Beta was better than VHS, but VHS just like went after them, and Beta just got swallowed by the, I guess, like the over marketing, or I don't know what the hell they did, but it was kind of one of those things where it's just like there was a better version.
Yeah.
and somehow.
I mean, things get swallowed up. You think things are going to be around forever, you know? You probably thought Blockbuster would be around forever. And then it's just, you know, it's gone.
It'd be
Same
really
thing's going to
cool-
happen to like Apple and Google and all of them. They're not going to stick around forever.
I know. That's what I was thinking about the other day. I'm like, which one's going to stand the test of time? Like Apple, Amazon, Google, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, like all those things. Like, which one will be here in 10 years? None or like two?
Oh, well, 10 years, maybe.
20
10 years. Yeah. But like 100 years? No.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, do we still go to Woolworths? You know? Like, I mean,
Gennardi's.
Strawbridges and Clover, right? I mean,
Strawbridge and Clothier. John Wanamaker's.
Clothier. Well,
I
John
know,
Wanamaker's, right? Yeah. I mean, like, these
Clothier.
things are all...
As a kid reading Clothier, I was like, what? I'm trying to learn how to read. What is that? What is that word?
I think it was his
Clothes,
name. I think it was his
clothing,
name, yeah.
Clothier.
I thought it was not Clover. It's Clothier.
There was Clover,
This is like the Berenstain Bears thing.
right? Berenstain.
Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears. Hard. They were heavy religious. I didn't remember that about them.
It depends what era story you're reading from them. I think when the son took over, it got a bit more religious, and then the baby was in all of them, and I was like, was the baby always there? And I don't think the baby was always there. It's a really weird thing. If you read
It's
through
like
the Berenstain
Batman.
Bears, it's like reading a divorce in slow motion. Like the
It's
dad
like
is just
Batman.
on his way out. The dad is. There's no way. There's no way. Like
He's a bumbling idiot.
the mom just beats him down. Like, you are an
Ah.
idiot. You can't do
And she
anything
wears-
without me. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, this
She
is so
wears
harsh.
that polka dot moo all
Yeah.
day. I mean, come on, wear something tight. Show a little more fur. Oh, gross.
I mean, we're bears, right? But
True.
yeah, no. Some of the stories of the Berenstain Bears are great. I wouldn't mind ranking them. Some of them are horrible. Some of them are just the absolute worst. They even like half rhyme half the book, and then they just stop halfway, and I just want to rip it in half.
It's like one of those Netflix shows that are set in the 90s, and like the first episode, somebody says like not, and then after that, they're like, "Why does he have a LeBron James jersey on?
Yeah, right.
He's not alive yet."
You're missing the point. It's like Scrubs season 4. It's like they completely forgot the point. It's like,
I
oh
never
yeah, were we
watched
supposed to be
Scrubs.
based in a hospital, or was everyone supposed to get pregnant? I forget what we were doing. You know, it just goes off the rails.
Scrubs and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and there might be another one.
I feel
But
like
there's
It's Always Sunny found itself again. Like, I feel like It's Always Sunny lost itself towards the middle seasons and has at least kind of come back to the roots towards the end. But it got really weird in the middle as well. But I will say, but also it went on for like 14 seasons now, or 15
It's
seasons. So
unbelievable that
mean,
it's
at that-
gone on that long.
at that point, I guess you can get back to your roots, you know? I think you can.
I've seen about 4 episodes, maybe 5, because I've watched the first 3 and I was like, oh, this is funny. I'm
It's
gonna
Always
like.
Sunny?
Yeah,
Because I watched the first 3 seasons in your apartment in Manioc.
that's right.
When everyone went to bed, and I, for some reason, used to stay up and watch all the DVDs that somebody had until everyone woke up at 6 a.m. And then I'd be like, yeah, I never went to sleep.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know. I used to watch Sopranos or always try to get through One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at your old house. It's just the thing I do. But I watched the whole season of Sopranos the one day. I think you came down and you were like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm on episode 9. I have to keep going to 13. You're like, all
You
right, well, I'm
watched
going to work. Bye.
You watched a VHS to VHS pirated bootleg that my parents had of season 2 Sopranos. Yeah, you started at like 9 o'clock or maybe like 10 o'clock at night, and then you ended. And then I remember at the end, you were like, I can't hear a New York, New Jersey Italian accent for at least a year.
Yeah, it was too much.
That's what happened to me with what's his name, Harry Prince, whatever, Harry Meghan, his book, his audiobook.
Yeah.
I listened to the first 2 volumes, and by the end I was like, I can't do this British accent another second.
Yeah.
I feel
No,
sorry for him,
it's
but
it's
I'm getting pissed at him.
and it's not just British accents because I've listened through British ones. Like I listened
all
to
of
the
them.
John Lithgow one, which was fantastic. I listened to the
Ooh.
Bryan Cranston audiobook, fantastic.
Oh, wow.
I listened to the Bruce Springsteen audiobook. That you cannot take. Like I'm sorry, Bruce. I have to stop. Like this is like,
Q-tips.
because half the book, is his descriptive nature of things. So it's like, it was a cold morning in Jersey. We walked outside and icicles froze like little arrows pointing down and saying, "Get on the ground, sucker." It was just like, what?
It's like, dude, you know what? It's funny. George R. R. Martin used to do that in Game of Thrones. Like, he would just overly describe nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, just get on. Come on. Okay. The glistening raspberries are dripping with sparkling. Like, get away. Come on.
Just keep moving, or you
Get
just
to
start
it.
drifting off, and then you're reading that same sentence over and over again. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
how am I 30 pages later? I don't remember any of this.
It's every time I pick up a book.
But yeah, audiobooks are sometimes tough with that, especially when they're. I prefer the author to read it because I feel like you get a bit more sometimes. Like they might kind of take a little trail and explain things a bit better, like that they missed, but
I agree.
unabridged.
Right.
But yeah.
But then sometimes they, well, yeah. Going back to when it's so funny that you were talking about TV Guide and all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
early days of television, because tonight, before Hannah was, it was bedtime, but, she has like a popsicle or something before bed. And she's like, can you put on this YouTube channel where this kid plays with toys? And I'm like, bud, you used to have to like go to school and like learn how to write and make something on television. You couldn't just be like a kid who plays with toys,
Yeah.
because sometimes the stuff that they're doing isn't really what children should be learning from. And she's like, okay, then I won't watch it. She like understood everything I said. And then I remembered earlier this week, I swear, dude, she gave me a fake answer that like thought would just satisfy me and just like make me leave her alone. Yeah. But her answer was so wrong, but you could tell she was trying to just say something that I would like. Me and Charlie are watching this animal thing and I'm like, Hannah. And she's like playing with their toys. And she's like, what? And I'm like, Hannah, Charlie's favorite animal is a giraffe, because it's the first time she ever said what her favorite animal was.
Yeah.
And Hannah's like, cool, Dad. I like those too. And I'm like, Hannah, what's your favorite? And she goes, Aquaman. She almost said Iron Man, corrected herself and said Aquaman, because she just thought I was like, who's your favorite superhero?
Yeah, no, they get used to
threw
our
a stock answer at me.
They get used to our ramblings, Like the one day Leo was asking me about adopting Sawyer, and I don't know how I got there, but at some point I was explaining to him about how pirates used to leave goats on islands so that they could come back later for food. I don't know how I got there. I don't really know how I got there. I started off with the story, and then I went on such a tangent that I'm like, and then they would come back to the island and eat the goats, and then there would be lots of goats because goats eat everything. And he was eating a cereal, and he just put his cereal spoon down.
He was like me earlier. Dad, what were we talking about?
No, he just sat up, and he's like, it's not what I asked. I just wanted to know where our dog came from. And that was it. And then he just started eating his cereal again. I was like, oh, all right. Like, sorry.
Wait, what was his original question?
He let me go on for 5 minutes. He's like, hey, how did we get our dog? Was his main question. And I was like, oh, we adopted him, and then I just started. I don't remember what the connection was. I just remember at the point where I was talking about pirates coming back to an island that they filled with goats so that they could come back and eat the goats later on. He was like, it's not what I asked.
I've
Just want
gotten
to know.
I haven't gotten that's not what I asked, but
This
I've
was,
got
I mean, he's older, right? So I get it.
I've gotten like, you answered my question already. Like I'm mid sentence. Like, okay, you said it already, Dad, because I'm like, reiterating it because I'm surrounded by Jews. Jews love to say the same sentence with all different words as many times as they can.
Just over and over.
You need to eat. You look hungry. I haven't seen you. You're too skinny. You're full of your pants. Like they just keep doing it.
It's just redefined.
Just keep re-saying it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I said yes.
So for the YouTube thing, you're kind of stuck in a situation where you're not sure if she actually agreed with your opinion or just was like, I don't want to fight.
It was
whatever, just.
It was a combination of like, he's not gonna stop. I think she's so like receptive. It's crazy. She's so Heather. Like hears it without even listening. Like if it's in the air, it's like her brain will record it. And she's like, and I'm not even gonna, like it's dinner, it's bedtime already. Yeah, she was probably just like, because I tell her over and over, I'm like, if you just do what Mom and Dad say, life will be so easy. I was like, I did not have an easy childhood because I thought, I get into all that. And she checks out before I even get to the third word. And I'm just like, for a while when she was really young, it was like, don't jump on the couch. But okay, Dad, no problem. And she'd go, okay, Dad, no problem. And that kind of like became a thing.
Oh, where you feed her the words,
Mm-hmm.
the correct words to say. Yeah.
Okay, Dad, no problem. And not like a dick, kind of funny.
Oh, see, I do it like a dick. Yeah. I do it like I play out the character voice. Like, I love you, Daddy. Thank you so much for making me a dinner. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, no, seriously. You didn't really have to do this. I know you spent a long day at work, and maybe you didn't want to fry up some chicken for me, but I sure do appreciate it. And then, I'll just keep going until she's like, I got it. So I blow right past the moral and the story and the, the lesson that she's learning. I just blow right through it into like, if you're going to be like this is what you get. You get like a full half hour of me acting out what you should be doing.
I don't think that's like a dick. I think that there's still some playfulness to, not dick. I mean, I'm not scary.
Yeah.
It's like my ultimate, like if on my deathbed, I know my 2 kids or maybe 3, we're not pregnant, but Heather's like not letting it up. And I'm like, I'm dead. I'm going to die. I will die if we have another one.
Well,
because I have to carry it.
Well, the carrying it is, I kind of miss the carrying it. Like right now they're both over like 60 pounds and I can't, like carrying them now, I can feel my spine compressing. If they want to get on my shoulders, like good luck. Like I might as well go back to the gym and pretend I can do squats.
This tendon here, or like whatever this is, it's always the one that the pitchers blow out and have to have surgery.
Yeah, it's your Tommy John surgery.
It's going from carrying them.
I know, but
dude, I lifted up.
It's like a free
thing
gym.
of towels.
It's like a free.
That's true.
Gym, like
it's
everybody
true.
with the carriers and stuff. I get it, but carrying them is one of the coolest things you can do because you can't drop them. Which is kind of an interesting scenario.
That is pretty
it's
cool.
Like the only
lock on.
Yeah, I mean it would be like you're holding, the stool while your head's in a noose or something like that. Like you can't let go. Like no matter what you do, you can't let go until your strength's all gone. And I always thought that was pretty interesting carrying them around because a 20-pound weight isn't one trying to get out of your hands, so you're not getting the most workout. It's not like trying to escape while you're curling it, and then also. I don't know. I think it's fun. I did do an episode in the Finding the Line podcast on parenting.
Oh, where is that? Where can I find it?
I guess on all the podcast
like
things.
iTunes.
Yeah. I think there's one other. There's like some other finding. It's something close to Finding the Line. It's called like something like that. It's a Mormon one. So if you get that one, that's
Doing
not
a line.
no, it's like a Mormon one, like about the religion.
Many
something.
wives.
Yes, I think that's what their topics are, which is probably also interesting. Don't know.
My
But
gosh,
that was
fascinating.
But yeah, you could find Finding the Line, and I did one on parenthood, and there was like a poem that I had found, or it was kind of like a letter. It wasn't really a poem. I don't remember where I heard it. I heard it maybe in some other podcast or some show, or I think maybe it was on the radio at one point. But it was an interesting letter, and I have it taped up to the wall, so I remember it. It's called Father Forgets, and the story of it is, I mean, it's pretty old. Like if you read it, it's kind of, you know, some of the, like the kids playing with marbles and stuff like that. So it's like the 20s and
Hula hoops.
Yeah, hula hoops. Or just that hoop down the road game that all the kids wanted.
Double Dutch.
And the way it goes is it's kind of like about, you know, kind of putting a kid to bed and then realizing that you didn't really treat them like a kid through the whole day. You know, it's like, oh, I yelled at you when you got a hole in your sock, and then, you know, when you were playing down the block and it was time for dinner, like I yelled at you again, you know, and then later on you came in and I was super tired and you came in to say you're sorry to me and hug me and stuff like that, but I wasn't in the mood to receive it and all this stuff. And it's like, so it's kind of like an apology letter. Like at the end of the day, it's like, I forgot that you're a kid and that you need to do kid things, and that I don't, like, sometimes you look like an adult and then I expect you to act always like an adult.
Right.
So I always try to keep that one in mind, you know, as like a parenting tip.
Yeah, dude, because that's such a thing that Heather, I had to like pull her aside and be like, we're kind of laying it on now, you know, because they do some things and you're like, holy shit, you're so intelligent. It's amazing. I can't believe you know how to brush your teeth and spit the toothpaste out. But then they carry on when they have your attention, positive or negative, and you say stop and they don't stop. And you're like, how can you be this and this at the same time? It doesn't make any sense. And Heather was like, Hannah, don't play dumb. I was like, I don't know if that's what she's doing. I think she's just 5 and she's just got your attention, and it's all happening so fast that she's not like calculating like, oh, mother is getting upset right now, even though we're all kind of playing and Heather and I never really get mean. But it's like the stuff, the words that you can say, it's like we're getting to the point. I mean, we're probably already at the point where it's like some of it will stay there forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus, trauma.
And then your kids are going to grow up to be 40-year-olds doing a podcast talking about all their...
Can only hope. You know, it was crazy. And it's been a while since the last thing, so I don't think we talked about this. I went to a party with Heather. Now you got to remember, I'm the one, I don't know, Gentile, whatever they call us. I'm the one non-Jew in this group of friends, because they're all their kids, including Hannah, all have gone from like 6 months to now in, you know, daycare together, school, basically. This really good school. So sometimes they have these events and they're connected to like a temple or something. And then I'm like, I don't know half the words on that sign because they're in Hebrew.
Yeah.
And they're just words I don't know. So we're at this party, you know, it was fun. And Heather's like at one, and we're having a good time. I think it was like March Madness. And I think FAU was, you know, it was the game they lost and they were, so it was all these FAU people that were also at this party. So anyway, Heather's like, all right, I'm ready to go. So I'm like, okay, let me get our jackets and stuff. It was like, you know, suit and tie. It was like a fancy thing. It was open bar, which was insane. I drank mezcal, that stuff that Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston, they have their own mezcal. It's like a tequila spin-off or something.
It's
There's
like made
something
from
different.
cactus, I think. Yeah.
Or yeah, like agave or something.
Hmm.
And I never had it before. It was the only thing I drank. So it was a little sideways. So anyway, Heather's like, all right, yeah, let's go. So I'm running around, I'm collecting all our things, and suddenly I can't find her. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I go out and I'm like, at like the valet, she's not there. I come back in, she's on the dance floor. And I'm like, yo, you said you wanted to go. And I'm like ready to go also, but now what the hell? I look like the dick. And these people already are like skeptical of me, not because
Yeah.
I'm not Jewish, but because they can just tell I'm just not, I'm kind of like this half the time. I don't know what you're talking about. Didn't go to summer camp.
Yeah.
Didn't have that.
Are all
Parents
the
were-
topics like Jewish topics, like while you're there, or is
No,
anything?
no, but it's like, you know what, dude? It was like just suddenly getting thrust into a group of friends that I didn't know at
Yeah.
all.
Well, that's our
And-
life. I mean,
And it was
really,
like,
because all of our friends are far, far away.
right, you're right. Yeah. But it was like a group and they already had
Yeah.
established little inside jokes. And I'm like, I have no interest. I have no interest at all. And but it doesn't matter what my interests are. You got to kind of like force it. And there's a couple of the guys that I really like, a couple that I'm like, oh, I just wish they weren't a part of this. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you just deal with it. So I see Heather and I'm like, and I get really like fucking mad, maybe third curse, really mad and sorry for myself and like, I look like I'm the one who like is trying to like pull her away, even though. And so the ride home, I'm completely quiet. We get home and
We're very good at that, men.
Eh.
We're very good at being quiet. It's so easy for us to just be nice and quiet, just storming.
yeah. Oh, just brood. Just
That inner
Batman.
monologue is just so healthy for us. The inner monologue going like, she said, let's go. She said, let's go. You didn't do anything wrong, but there you are, holding the goats. Like, sure.
The inner monologue is
When is the apology coming? And it better be a good one.
that inner monologue is a idiot. I hate that guy. It's why I hardly ever drink anymore, because it's like I don't like me as much as I used to
Yeah.
when I'm looped. Plus the hangovers, it's just impossible.
We're old.
Yeah. Father time. So I think I pass out up here in the guest room and wake up in the morning. We don't talk about it. And then
Oh, so you went full isolation.
no, because dude, I woke up and I wasn't sure how drunk she was, because Heather sometimes like remembers nothing. And it's not like she's that drunk. It's just a weird thing about her. And I'm like, I remember everything. And I'm like, maybe she
So
just
you might
forgets.
not even be in a fight. Like you might wake up and be like, so let me make you some breakfast. And like, it's all fine.
I was exactly. And that's how I was sort of going about the day. I was like, nothing.
It's a very dangerous approach.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
It's a very dangerous approach to.
But I knew, like, deep down, I was like, she's also kind of like on, not walking on eggshells, but like unsure of like what exactly happened last night. And so at like the end of the night after we put the kids to bed, she's like, like, so what were you so upset about? And I'm like, I don't know. I felt like a fool because you said you wanted to, I retold the story.
It's good to start
And-
with I feel. It's good to start with
and-
I feel. Yeah.
And sure. And she's like, okay, like I didn't know, we both had a couple drinks. I just didn't understand why you were mad. Nobody thought that, like you created all that in your head.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the hell is that about? So she's like, talk to your BetterHelp person about it, because I don't know. So I tell her that story at the beginning of the session.
This is your BetterHelp person. Okay.
Yes. Melissa, she's great. She's a Long Island Jew. So airing out my grievances about my
that's good.
mother-in-law come in
You don't
really,
have to explain it out all the way.
she can really relate. Yes. And so I'm telling her this story, and she's like, oh, I don't know. Like, like who are you? She goes, who are you protecting? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know. She's like, what like,
It's
when
not your
did you,
fault.
she's like, what? dude, it was,
not your
it was what they call in the therapy world a breakthrough.
Oh,
And I haven't seen a freaking shrink since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Not consistently, but like fairly consistently all throughout my life. So okay, so that's at the beginning of the session. We talk about all this other stuff. We come in and out. The conversation just goes all over the place. And at the end, towards the end, I somehow get to the point where I was like, it always just makes me think of that time when my parents explained to me that I was repeating second grade, and that like, I wasn't smart enough as the people, as my peers. And she's like, wait a minute. Whoa. So she made me like tell her that whole story. And she's like, that's who you were protecting. She's like, you felt dumb, and you are trying to like protect young John, who was like, it was like the most devastating thing that I can like recall.
Sure.
That like never left me. It's always been like a thing that like I joke about, but it's always like I can get defensive about like real fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people do, but it
Well,
can
it
be
affected a lot of your relationships. It affected all the relationships you had up until that point. It affected the relationship with your parents. It affected the relationship with your brother. Like I mean, it's a big thing.
It affected basically my like internal expectation of myself that I want not to be real.
Yeah.
It's like a impressionable moment where it's like, well, you're just not you're not as smart as everybody else. And that like fighting that was horrible, because
Is that
I was
actually
a
what anybody
sucky
said to you?
student.
Did somebody say that?
No, but that it was like, you're not mature enough. And I was like, bullshit. That's such a cover up for you're just not smart yet, or smart enough.
Yeah. I mean,
I was immature, but I was also getting shit grade, fifth curse, bad grades.
well, I think it comes down to a few things. Like, I think it's like the system that we're in.
Right. Of course.
Like, I think I was always good with the system,
Oh my gosh. Of course.
but it's not like I ended up any different than you. From like, I still conflicted with the teachers and things like that, which never made any sense to me, because it's like, I'm playing your game. Like, I got it from the other end, right? Because it would be like, I'm playing your game. I'm following your rules. I'm doing the work, and you're still giving me crap. Like,
I always understood when there was conflict between myself and a teacher. I was always just like, I'm gonna see how long I can, spin reality here.
I don't think
Until
you. I
just
mean, I
call
don't
me
think
out.
you had the best. I mean, I had the same teachers. I don't think we had the best teachers. To be fair, I think there was a few gems in there, maybe, but I don't think like there was a few that might have understood.
It was like one or two.
But I don't think the strict environment was like the right way. Like if you had more of an artistic outlet. Like I still like the reason I don't send the kids to Catholic school is because I want them to have art. Like I just have flashbacks of the art and the gym lessons where we're sitting in chairs with a balloon and a string in the library and calling it gym. It's like nobody gets out of your seats. It's like, this is gym? What?
I just remember getting to LaSalle and being like, did I miss a grade?
Yeah.
Like, did everyone at Jude like skip a part of school because they're saying things that we're? I mean, I've heard of them, but
Yeah.
I haven't used them.
I mean,
So intimidating.
there were so many basic things. You know, people are like, "Oh, well, I played drums in grade school," and I'm like, "Drums? Like you didn't play bells? You mean bells, right? Like you had the C bell and had to hit it on the C, right? Like you didn't, or you had this little terrible piece of plastic that was maybe a $3 investment, and you gave it to 500 kids to play at the same time, and it could never hit any note properly. Like that's the thing that I always like. Even in the moment, I knew. Like even in the moment, I knew. I'm like, this is weak.
I was like, this is pretend.
And we have like a teacher who's playing guitar in front of us. It's like, so you know, at
Yeah.
least chords or something. Like you know something, right? Can we learn guitar? No. Why on earth would we teach you guitar? I know guitar. Oh wait, she's playing the organ. Can we learn the organ? No. How about some piano? No. It's like, the hell is,
It's
what's
quite
going on?
amazing how our location, the last thing you would think is that our school was poor.
I mean,
A private Philadelphia suburb school.
I don't think it's even that. Like, cause I mean, UNAMI had a lot of stuff around the corner. I think if somebody just asked the proper question, we would have got the proper answer.
Yeah, man.
So if I mean, I can't blame us because we were just young and like we just wanted to listen to the OJ trial and stuff. Like we didn't care about stuff like that. But in the moment, it was just micro machines and
I remember
football.
I remember in 7th and 8th grade, towards the end, someone, probably Fran Lang, being like, all these fundraisers we do, what do they do with the money? Like, what did they improve? The blacktop? He's like, I'm sure the paint was maybe $30 to paint the field. But
Fair
for
enough.
real, it was always like, where
He
did
should have
everything
formed a board.
go?
You should have formed a student board. Whatever. I mean, look.
And then they were saving it. They have a court. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, but if we didn't have, I mean, we still had an education. We still had chocolate milk at lunch. Like it wasn't like, the worst thing in the world. But it was. But I think that experience, for you, yeah. I mean, I know that some people make that decision, but they don't really make that decision in front of the kids nowadays. Like they might, if like a boy is on starting kindergarten. And maybe you haven't come across this, but we get asked the question if it's like, oh, do you want to start him in kindergarten now, or do you want to wait a year? Because sometimes they'll say like you can wait a year.
Yeah, that's what my mom always says she
kindergarten when
should
you're
have done.
6. Yeah. So, looking at it too, sometimes you don't know. Like
Of course.
like it might be a tough thing as a parent to make
Oh
that
my
decision.
gosh, I don't think there is
but-
a right decision. You know what I mean? I don't think that, because it's like Hannah tested for this thing and it's gifted, so whatever. I'm like, all right, but like if this is like stressing her out,
Yeah.
she doesn't need to be in advance. Like it's like, let's wait and see. Everybody, we can't like blanket these kids with like expectations and rules because they're all different.
Yeah, but you can't also just have them sit stagnant either. So that makes it like really difficult. Like whenever we want to bring the kids to something, like whether it's like a sport or like a lesson for something, and they're like, I don't want to go. I'm like, okay, I think they do want to go, because when I pick them up from it, they're super happy, and I'm going to judge it more on the outcome than by their words, because I think their words are only thinking about the next 10 minutes and
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Yeah. So for the most part, I think if I can get them in the door to the things that they come out happy from, right? If they come out frustrated from a lesson or frustrated from something or overstressed from something, it's like, yeah, fine, that's done.
Yeah.
But when they come out
for
like laughing and skipping, I'm like, I think you like it.
Oh yeah, dude. And there was so many times when I was a kid where, and I can remember not wanting to go to a party or something, an event, and then fighting with my parents that I didn't want to leave. You know,
Yeah, right,
after
exactly.
we were there, and that's how it always is with Hannah, and it's it's neat. But she's pretty honest. Like she did ballet and gymnastics, but she was doing it like ballet at 9:30, gymnastics at 11 every Saturday. And she's like, I like ballet, but I like gymnastics more. And after ballet, I'm kind of tired at gymnastics. I was like, dude, that's pretty logical. Let's take out ballet,
Yeah.
gymnastics. I mean, they're both great. It's crazy.
I like some things the kids do, like ballet. So like I think there's I don't know. Sometimes with ballet I'm like you're not doing anything. I like this this feels like me coaching soccer for
It
15
it
6-year-olds. Like it's just
like
you're
a
just running around for a little while
tiptoe.
and then you're practicing like a 3-second thing and then you're calling it a performance and it's like I get that it is, but I'm like I've seen the kids do amazing things, right? Like I've seen them do amazing things on the piano. I've seen them do amazing things in jujitsu. Like the fact when the kids took a
Ooh,
jujitsu class and they came home from it,
wow.
and Leo took me down. He's like, here, let me just hug your waist, and then he moved his foot, and I was like, and I just fell to the ground, and I was like, that was awesome, and he was really excited that I'm like, he's like, oh, did you just fall? I'm like, no, I really fell. Like you really took me down. Like I was not expecting it. Um, you pulled my weight, and I'm like, when you see those outcomes, it's like I just like those a bit more. And I'm not saying you can't get that with ballet because I know there's some teachers, but then the other side of it is like those teachers are so strict. And then I'm
Yeah,
like,
it
I don't
was
really want
like
to do that
very.
either.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the class that Shannon Rutherford was teaching in the flashback of in Lost,
Hmm.
where it was like kind of like, "Thank you, ladies." Like it wasn't like serious
Oh, sure. Yeah.
ballet,
Yeah.
but gymnastics, dude. There was like a party a couple weeks ago, like a kids party at like a kidnasium, and there's like two balance beams that like none of the kids are ever on because they're like they're like legit the same ones that the Olympians use.
Hmm.
And Hannah and the other girl that like also does gymnastics, they get on it, and she, dude, like her form is like, you know, one of the one of the Olympians. Like she walks down and does the whole thing and jumps down and squats and lands. And
Oh, wow.
I was like, holy shit! It's like gymnastics will make her good at any. It'll give her a great base for if she wants to play anything else.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And if she doesn't want to play anything else, she'll have some. I don't know. She'll
Some
just have
muscle
some
memory
muscle.
or some balance at least. Right. So,
Hmm.
no, that's awesome. That's
That was
awesome.
like the thing. Ballet and gymnastics. It's really good at balance.
Yeah.
That's why like wide receivers take ballet. It like helps with on your toes.
That's what they told us. Yeah.
Right. That's what somebody said. Jerry Rice, can we just say this about you? Just so maybe guys get interested. Yes. Sure. I don't
Oh,
care.
man. We never
Um,
answered your question at the beginning of what you would actually make for your channel. Did you give it any
right.
thought or?
Well, I was going at it like a streamer. I was just going at it like here's what I would have available, which is
Uh,
obviously just like everybody could probably
well,
guess that.
I'll tell you a few of my failures. Maybe we can pick it up another time. But I I made one. I tried to recreate TGIF. So I made a
Would
channel
you
of
would you start with?
Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step. I put Doogie Howser on there for a little bit, but I couldn't take those episodes. And then I made a huge mistake. I made a medical drama only channel. So it had ER, St. Elmo's Fire or whatever.
General
Hospital.
Grey's Anatomy.
No, not General. I didn't put this on there. I put like Scrubs on there, but most of it was like ER because ER just took over it once it was in there because it's like a billion seasons of hour-long episodes. But no, I never tuned to that one. And then there was another one that I made that was like, it was basically TBS. It was just Seinfeld and Friends and
My Name is Earl.
Queens.
King of Queens,
Yeah,
right?
My Name is Earl would have been good. But
Remember that show?
That show fell off too. Like
you
first 2
loved
seasons
that
of
show.
it. I love that show. The
That
first 2
show?
seasons, yeah.
That show, Drew Carey and Raymond, Everybody Loves Raymond. They're like the most relaxing shows that you laugh out loud to watch.
Yeah.
Laugh
The
out
Drew
loud.
Carey show was really good. I enjoyed
The
that
best
show.
beginning.
Yeah.
Hey,
And they
hey.
yeah, when they used to do the dance in the beginning and stuff.
Yeah.
I forgot
They
about
changed
that
it
one.
a couple times.
Yeah.
That's James Gunn. He was like, I did the opening dance because Drew Carey used to always do a different opening dance every season of his show, and I just thought that was the best way to like get everybody's attention.
Oh yeah. I did. Speaking of that, I did put the Cosby Show in too, and that's a pretty amazing show.
It was one of the greatest shows ever.
Sorry, I mean it really is a fantastic show, and it's like really good to watch now. Honestly, like it, it like even some of like his fathering speeches are really good speeches. Like, and the kids act like kids. They don't act like actors playing kids. They play like.
There
I'm
was
going
a
out with my
weird.
friends, you're being a jerk, It's like
There was a weird. The actors on that show were really good, but there was a weird timelessness about that show because it was about a rich black family in the city.
yeah.
Like
a lawyer and a doctor.
a doctor. So it almost is like, when is this taking place?
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of the messages are pretty. You could apply now.
They're really, I mean, I haven't watched all the episodes, but having it mixed in there, it's like it kind of forces you to watch it. See, this is the thing. When you make a channel, you're kind of forced to watch it. Like you tune in, you don't know where you're at in an episode. You don't know what's going on.
Right. The good old days.
You're that's what but I mean, in the good old days, all we wanted to was be able to control what we were watching. Like, as we were sitting there, we're like, I want to watch that, but I missed it, or I want to watch that, but tape it.
We have to go to Blockbuster.
Right.
I have to get gas.
Yeah. Like you're there, and then there was all the disappointments of like renting something like Halloween 2 and being like,
what if it sucked?
What is this? Like, this isn't.
Did that ever happen? Yeah. I'm trying to think if that ever like happened to us, where it's like, as friends, we're gonna watch this movie together, and 40 minutes into it, we're like, I can't. We gotta turn this off, right? I feel like that.
It
almost
was more video games for us. I feel like we would rent a video game and then we'd be like, "What is this?" We'd be like, "We're gonna play Ghostbusters all afternoon." Like, I'm so glad I spent this $6 to borrow it, and then we gotta return it. And like, you put it in, you'd be like, "What? This isn't even a game. Like,
this is impossible.
This? Yeah. It's just blinking on a screen. This isn't like the movie at all." Yeah, I don't recall us turning off movies, because normally if a movie was bad, we'd end up just making fun of it,
Right. That would be the best thing. It was like, if it was bad, we would just destroy it until it was over.
Yeah, I remember I remember specifically one Halloween at your house. There was like some like mocking Halloween movie that came on. Like, it was like it had like a kill count like number in the corner, and
it was almost like a YouTube video.
Yeah, it
like
was
an early day
walk
YouTube
up to like
video.
the door, and then like there was a big arrow, and it's like unlocked. I remember, and we were like, what is this? And I still, to this day, I think I looked it up once and figured out what it was, and since then I forgot it. But it was very much like Halloween, which is a fantastic movie. But then it was just joking. Yeah. It was just like mocking it the whole time, and we again stumbled on, like we were out trick or treating too old or something, and then we
Oh,
came
way
in and,
too old.
and then that was on, and so we were just shoving candy in our mouths. Like, wait, what? Like I thought this was an actual scary movie.
One of my favorite memories, actually, one of the reasons Halloween is becoming one of my favorite holidays, because when I was a kid, my favorite memory through several phases of life is trick or treating or party with, girls in, nothing, Halloween
It
costumes.
wasn't a deterrent.
Coming back, eating candy, and watching scary movies in the dark is just such a fun thing to do.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember that year it was a bunch of buddies, Lang, Smith. That was probably at me, you, maybe Ganter, maybe Fitzgibbons. And this movie, it was almost like the person who directed it or edited it was like, people are really stupid. So I'm gonna put little indicators in the movie with text on the screen
Yeah.
to like let the audience know they left the door unlocked. And then there was a dog that when it barked, it sounded like a cat. You can just start with that one, and that just sends you on a road of how absurd that movie was.
I just don't know if we'd even enjoy it nowadays if I watched it. Like if I found it and watched it, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it because it was probably like so burned into my brain as such a good thing in the moment because we were just so caught off guard by it that it was just absolutely hilarious.
That's another funny thing that I'm learning about my memories, how I kind of touch them up in post. Like, it's like if I really, like, there's stuff that I talk to about with my shrink, and then I'm like, I feel like I made it, I filled in holes that aren't real.
Did that really happen? It's like, no, I've just told the story so many times that just became the memory of the story.
Right. Like
Yeah.
the squirrel story.
Yeah, exactly. The squirrel story. It's it's like
in 100 years,
true.
in 100 years, no one will know if all of it's true, if it's a complete lie.
No, I just told you it's 45%.
Right, but guess
like,
what? There's
I tied a
recordings
few
of
things
you.
together,
There's
yeah.
recordings of you giving different percentages, so
Yeah.
no one will know. It's
No
like the
one will know.
Joker's origin.
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's no answer.
It's like maybe the answer is just meant to throw you off.
the best
The
part.
trail.
It's Yoda's origin species. All right, man. Do you have to pull stakes?
Yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up. I think.
Yeah, I did you see that little clip that I put on YouTube? It's a short.
Oh no.
It's great. It's so good. The production could use maybe a tweak, but you nail the punchline, and it's something that the internet's been blabbing away about, complaining that they're giving Luke's stories to Ahsoka and Rey.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, there's a new Rey movie. She's training the Jedi, and you're like, oh, so she stole his movie as well. And then I put a post that's like, Screen Rant. Disney Star Wars gives Luke's story to Rey and Ahsoka.
Oh, that's
So it's
awesome.
not just you saying it; it's like headlines.
Oh, thanks for putting it together.
So
I'll check it out.
It was so hard. I finally paid for like an editing thing, so I can pull. Well, it's like $9 a month, and for my trailer reactions, I can now just use the full screen. I don't have to like expand it to get the watermark out of the shot. Like in the lower right hand corner, it has the watermark of the company that I use. If I didn't pay, because
use DaVinci. Use DaVinci. It's all free.
I learned this one, and it's good, and it's
complex, yeah.
and it's $9. And
But DaVinci Resolve's new update has vertical, so it automatically gives you vertical and automatically uploads to YouTube and TikTok on the way out for free. It's like some of the.
All right,
Give it
all
a
right.
try.
I've heard of
$9,
DaVinci. I've heard of DaVinci.
$9 a month is going to add up.
Only if you add it up.
Yes, only if you add it up. But that's
Gary Goldman. Gary Goldman. He's like, some of the phrases I hate. You know, it really adds up. You know what? Screw you. It only adds up if you add it up. Like, that's amazing.
Good.
All right, brother.
All
Well,
right, brother.
don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next week. I gotta go.
Or a couple weeks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll see you next. What should I say? We'll see you
Next time we get together.
Yeah, we'll see you next.
Next
That's
time
why
our
I
kids
say
let
next
us.
week.
No
That's why I
holidays. As
say
long
it.
as there's no holidays. No.
That's why I
It'll probably
say
be my birthday week. We'll join in then. So
it's amazing. I've done almost 300 trailer reactions, and then every single
Crazy.
one I say, "We'll see you next week." I'll see you next week. I gotta go, but I post one almost every day. It's because it's an homage to Jim Ross, Monday Night Raw. We'll see you next week. We gotta go. And I've been doing it since CWO. All right,
Awesome.
brother.
All right.
Great
Have a
talking
good
to you,
night.
man. Love you.
Love you too.
Peace.
Peace.
I'm going on a cruise tomorrow.